Then the banner headline here says, turbulent times ahead for aviation sector. The rider says Nigeria loses 40% market shares over trapped $800 million high fare compared to neighbors. It also says jobs, $1 billion revenue at risk as more airlines plans exit from the country. We also have Supreme Court, Mammoth crowd welcomes Governor Yusuf in Kanu. Serap asks Akpabio Abbas to cut 344.85 billion naira NAS budget. Sales of form for 2024 UTME kicks off today. Don't give up on Nigeria, Obasanjo, Archbishop Chukuma charges masses. And lastly, we have Imo Agong as Uzodinma begins second term. The rider there says Tinubu governors storm Owerri for inauguration. That's for the Daily Sun.
Okay. Hello, I don't know. Even there's a story of Beta Edu there, Ohaneze youth kick against media trial.
Let me begin with to also add my voice to what Obasanjo and then Archbishop Chukuma is telling Nigerians, not to give up on Nigeria, because that gives a room for every other engagement that we are having, be it in the security situation of the country, be it in the economic situation of the country, be it even in our social interaction with one another. We can't afford to give up on Nigeria. Unfortunately, many Nigerians now resort to self-help, and we think we can amass the kind of money that we can get to help us solve our problems as individuals. That is counterproductive, really. As citizens, we must continue to be interested in how our leaders govern and what policies they pass and how they implement these policies. And talking about that, we have clearly stated our displeasure concerning the allocation that the National Assembly gave to themselves. They don't seem to me to be patriotic. We are in a country where 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. There are over 20 million out of school children, and the number keeps increasing. If you come down, if you look at the program of the state and to see the interests of the state, what you just need to quickly do is to look at their budget, where they are committing their money to. That is really what tells you that this state is interested in the people. But the massive allocation that the National Assembly themselves have given to themselves is far higher than what they quoted to education. It is far higher than what they quoted to agriculture. And we're talking about food insecurity. We're talking about what we need to do to make sure that inflation that is because of high cost of food and other related commodities comes down. That is one issue that we're looking at. We're also looking at the health care of the health state. I just talked correctly about mental health. So what really is the government doing to forestall these whole situations? And what we are seeing is the National Assembly putting more allocations for themselves. If they want us to remember them as people who really sacrificed for the country, this is the time for them to really show it. And not over time, they will then begin to tell us that they have served the nation meritoriously and we are not giving them their due respect. They should know that respect is not bought, it is earned. And the citizens are watching them. Citizens, they might think they are in power today. The last administration, many of them are no more in power. They are out of power. And they are now ordinary citizens. And unfortunately, they have joined to begin to complain. And they had the opportunity to make life more meaningful for the citizens so that when they become citizens too, they would enjoy the fruits of their labor.
I think the word there, you've just said it, patriotism, to be patriotic. How much do we love our country, Nigeria? That's the big question for everyone. How much do you love your country, And talking about people losing hope in Nigeria or whatever, you will agree that over the past 2-3 years, a lot of people have left the country, and a lot of professionals have left the country. And when we travel around the globe, most people there doing very well are Nigerians. And I don't know the message that, or the signal that is sending across the nation.
So this really calls for serious concern. And unfortunately, the citizens are not helping matter. Not a fault of theirs, really. We must be frank to this.
Everybody must survive once you are alive.
We
The
must
next
be
thing
frank.
is survival.
We must be frank to this. I think that is why we'd always say everything lies and falls on leadership. Once the head is sick, the entire body will be sick. It will be very, very difficult to put things in order. And we want to see a government that is really showing the people this is where we want to go to. And then, on their own part, they are willing to make the necessary sacrifices, if need be, even deny themselves of certain benefits that we know constitutionally or legally is theirs, just for the citizens to thrive.
We know
if
that
the citizens see this.
Once we see that, we know that Nigeria is healed now.
Thank you.
Okay.
But let me end with this.
Okay.
I think we talk about government giving the citizens an enabling environment. That is what we are looking at. That's what we are looking for. Unfortunately, the world is a global stage currently. So a doctor in Nigeria can also practice outside the country. Just what they need to do is meet up to one or two of their standards, do a test, and then you become one of them. So it is now more competitive. So beyond that, we want the country, even if it is not flourishing, we want to see signs, enabling environment.
All right, let's run. The next paper now is the Punch newspaper. Let's see stories making the headlines in front of the Punch newspaper. A lot of stories there. 7 major markets get approval to sell Dangote fuel. NNPC, Retail, Total, MRS, others make list with commercial terms. Ipman Petron to meet Dangote refinery this week. Marketing deals. Tinubu's trip gulped 3.4 billion naira in 6 months. That's coming from government spend. Policemen not permitted to search citizens' phones, coming from Lagos Commissioner of Police. EFCC, Nigerians want ex-governors to account for 772 billion naira. Passengers stranded as BRT drivers down tools over pay. Ex-minister's friend offers to pay 50 million naira for abducted Abuja girls. And, okay, that's the much we have in front of the Punch newspapers. I don't know, this issue of police searching people's phones. The other day, I think early or middle of 2023, I was going to Enugu. No, we happened to be stopped by at a checkpoint. So one young boy was brought down from the vehicle, and it was the phone that we were searching. I don't know, maybe this order started this new year.
The order had always been there. I could remember sometime last year too, via social media, there's this clip of one of the police commissioners talking to them while they were having their parade, that they are not allowed to search the phones of the citizens, just as the number of times the commissioner, the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, had also warned that no police officers are allowed to continue with roadblocks. So we know, we hear this always. So the question is, from what they say to what we see on reality are two different things. The fact remains.
What do we call that? That when a senior officer gives an order, or an authority that is supposed to give an order gives an order, and it's not carried out, you still see that thing going on.
So that is gross insubordination, really. And I know.
And nothing happens
I
after
know
that.
Once there are insubordination, there should be disciplinary measures that should be taken
against people that
against those people who tend to display that tendency of insubordination. But I want to also believe that the IGP, when it comes to the case of roadblock, knows that these people still carry out the roadblock. What have they done? Even when they say stop searching and they search and people complain, what have they done? So I don't want to allege that they just come to the media and say something else, whereas another thing happens behind the scene. And that is to make us understand the kind of nation that we are. And I wonder if we think Nigeria can really grow at this stage.
And, you know, comparing it with this story of Tinubu's trip, gulping 3.4 billion naira in 6 months. So in 4 years, we'll be talking about trillion.
So are we surprised? For me, I don't think I'm surprised, because when they went for COP28, he, as the president, went with close to 1,411 1,411 delegates with him, just for that. And these people had extra codes. These people, they will be paid feeding allowances and then transportation care and a lot of other things. This is a country that is still battling with high debt ratio. This is a country that can barely feed its citizens, and this is where the money is going.
Let's see what happened. Maybe it's because of this report that he actually had to call that. There's something he did, yes, of people that when you want to travel within the country and outside the country, the number of people you have to go with. And let's also hope that they hit to that instruction given by the president.
Yeah, so the thing is that earlier when this is part of the reasons why I talked about the citizens not really giving up hope. Because when we give up hope, things would go out of hand completely. And we think we are in a bad mess, but we will be surprised the deeper mess that we'll find ourselves when we say we've given up hope. And then we commend CSOs that have come up with different kinds of initiatives to continue to track the budget expenses of the government. Sometimes they even embark on these expenses without even knowing the implications of whatever they are spending to the nation. Don't know the implication to health, don't know the implication to education. So it is we citizens that would say this money that you have spent should have actually been important to help this number of constituencies in the area of breast cancer, of the women who are suffering from breast cancer. So are you telling us that it is more important for you to travel against our women who have breast cancer? So when we begin to ask those kind of constructive questions, it makes them be on the check. And I know it is because of it that the president came up with that 60% slash with people that he is traveling with. But it goes beyond that.
Okay, let's keep hope alive.
Beyond hope, let's be more practical.
Okay.
The budget had already been passed when this policy came up. So as Nigerians, we want to know the previous travels that he had embarked on, that the vice president had embarked on, and then the likes of all other MDAs, their leaders had embarked on. We want to know how much they spend per travel. Then we want to know this 60% cut that they are talking about now, because many of these have already been budgeted. So they cannot just cut it. If they cut it, the money that will be floating, what happens to it? So we want to know what they have been spending. Now that they are going to implement the 60%, the amount that they will be spending, the remaining balance, or the balance, what will happen to it, and where are they going to take that balance to?
Okay, you're calling on SERAP to come up and do their job, you know.
Beyond SERAP, even the media.
Yes,
we are calling on the media, we are calling on CSOs.
These are a state of accountability now we're talking of, and I don't know how many times you've seen that happen in this nation. For instance, you know, when you win an election, you are supposed to declare your assets and everything. How many of them did it in this 2023 election that just happened? So when we talk about accountability in Nigeria, I don't know, but let's just hope that things begins to take the right shape by people owing up that this is what we are spending, this is what, because it goes on to tell that people that are really have the heart of the nation at heart will come up to be leaders. People that are willing to serve will be leaders, not people that are willing to loot our economy again.
Let us analyze the state of Nigeria, especially from 1999.
Okay.
Because I strongly believe that the crop of the leaders that we have currently in Nigeria, these leaders, many of them were not as wealthy as they are currently in 1999.
Okay.
So because they found themselves around the corridors of power, they started to amass wealth, and they are now where they are. So from 1999, both those who fought during Nadeko, those who fought Abacha, I feel that they think it is their time to really benefit from the labors that they have made in the past. And it's a nation does not grow that way, really. If you look at it, the positionings of the government, you will see people who over the years, sometime in 1999, they had influence.
I think what we are saying is a very good topic of discussion for another day. You know, when you talk about accountability in governance, I believe that healing of our nation may start from there.
Yes.
You know, healing of our nation may actually start from there, because when there is no checks and take for instance your home. In your home, when your child will just walk in and go out anyhow, behave anyhow, what kind of home do you think you will have? You know, I think when that happens, our healing is inside. But because of our time, let's look at the next paper for review.
So the next paper is The Nation.
Okay.
And the banner headline says, "More trouble for Edu, others as panel reviews NISPS regulation." The writer there says, President names Edun, Pat, 4 others in ministerial committee. Now we have here CBN moves to the Conges head office, relocates 1,553 staff to other facilities in Abuja, Lagos, and others. Confusion as sacked Plateau legislators vows to retake seats. Wow. Rivers crisis. We fulfilled our part of peace accord, says Wike. Outrage over killing of one of the 6 siblings abducted in Abuja. I think that's that for The Nation newspaper.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, it's still that same issues that we are looking at in Nigeria, be it at the economy aspect, be it at when it has to do with the relationship with the citizens. We don't have leaders who are patriotic, who gives more to the system than they want to take from the system. If not, I know Ohaneze had advised that we should not do media trial. But regardless, we know when the conversation around school feeding program started during COVID-19, then the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs quoted the amount they have spent on that school feeding program. COVID-19, that there was lockdown. We lamented, but who will listen to our voice? Where the agencies, the institutions that have been created for these checks and balances, like you rightly said, kept quiet. The citizens lamented and shouted. Nobody listens to them. So, if these issues had been handled that time, we know that we would have built up a more strengthened institution or a more structured system that would not be easily subjected to abuse. So, and that is why we are telling our leaders, when the citizens lament, they should not just throw it under the carpet like these people are making noise. Give them listening ear. And when you give them listening ear, they are entitled to getting clarifications, because you are the person that is in power, that understand, that have a clearer picture of what is going on. They are speaking from their own prison. And so don't wash it away. If you carry out your due diligence and get the state of things, you come back to citizens and say, this information is wrong, this is what is right. So this is what you need to do to continue to hold us accountable. And by so doing, you will see that we will be making the system more strengthened. But when the citizens lament, nothing is done, it gives those people who are the helm of affairs the leeway to do whatever they want to do. After all, nothing would happen. And the resources that should be used to grow the nation in the area of health, in the area of education, these are, as well as agriculture, these are critical components of the development of a nation, would continue to suffer. So for me, I think whatever that is going on with the Edu saga, we want the government, now that they have set up a panel, we want them to do their due diligence And beyond taking that they are witch hunting anyone or they want to protect the interests of anyone, we want to get a measure that would forestall these events from happening again.
How I pray and wish and hope that this picture we are painting here becomes a reality in Nigeria. Nigeria is really a great nation, you know, but just like you rightly say, the accountability needs to be in place for things to, you know, for Nigeria to be great again. At this point, would like to let you know that this is the much you can, how far we can go on the program, for our time is fast spent here and we need to welcome other guests for other discussion programs here. Would like to thank you so much, Samuel, for being here this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, this is how we wrap up the press review for now, letting you know that more is coming up on Good Morning Anambra Show.